I think when people get into, if we switch to compatibility again, the idea we talked about the difference between connection and chemistry, but compatibility is really interesting because a lot of people believe that relationships should be hard and they require hard work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people believe relationships should be easy and everything should just flow. Where have you kind of discovered your lens on that spectrum?
So, okay, there's a couple ways to look at it. I think that most relationships, and I'll even be more specific, most relationships that involve connection and true love are typically hard. Not because relationships have to be hard, but because most people have been hurt by something in their life, are holding on to past traumas, haven't resolved it. Once they meet this individual that they feel so strongly about, it is scary. This is where things get difficult. It's the difficultness in how do I handle this? How do I manage this? You'll have people feel like they're losing themselves, but they're not losing themselves. Their true self is coming out. And it's the self that's been hiding behind that wall they've been using for quote unquote protection. But I always say the same walls to protect you are the same walls blocking your blessings. So now they're being pulled from behind it. It's makes them feel some kind of way. And again, people start to mishandle things. You also have situations where people are getting bad advice. Like, I'm gonna give one example. There's this book called The Game by Neil Strauss. I don't know if you ever read that book.
Yeah,
But
Neil's great.
Neil, he went into that world of pickup artistry, learned it, and he was great with the women. But then once he found that woman that he fell in love with, all that stuff doesn't work anymore. So you have a lot of men being taught how to handle women in general, but they don't understand that's not how you handle the woman you truly love. And so now again, you have individuals who, though they are truly in love with this person, they constantly mishandle it with bad guidance, with fear, and all these things. This is what makes it hard. And I even think that a lot of times the people who are supposed to be together sometimes will have the hardest time getting together. But I believe that once we're able to conquer that part of it and actually come together, it's not hard. Yes, it takes work. I believe we have to be conscious and mindful of how we treat our partners, how we show up, being willing to listen. But I think it's so much easier to do those things with someone you have a connection with and you're truly in love with. It's gonna always feel 10 times harder when you're in the wrong relationship. And I would argue the vast majority of people are in the wrong relationship. That's why they're seeing it be so difficult. And when you see this whole it's easy, typically it's easy because you have two people who are not digging deeper. They're trying to ride out that chemistry we talked about earlier for as long as possible, all right? So yeah, it seems like it's great, it's easy, no issues, but it doesn't really work like that because they're just not facing the reality of the situation. So I think we have to understand that there is gonna be some bumps in the road because of all the things that people have been through. But once we're able to come together and we know this is our partner, this is who we want to share our life with, it can get so much better.
Yeah, and do you think that people have just been given generally the wrong education on how to deal with another person in their life?
100%.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of individuals are giving advice from a bitter, hurt place. They're trying to disguise it as I'm just looking out for you. No, you haven't healed and you cannot properly guide them in a positive and loving manner. And I think that a lot of people, I always say it's funny how we'll spend a lot of time getting educated for the sake of our careers and business, but we don't do the same for relationships. And yet relationships arguably are even more important than that career or business. And even if it's not a romantic relationship, just relationships in general, your ability to coexist with others, connect with others is extremely important. If you want that business to succeed, you have to learn how to establish business relationships. There's no way around it. So we have to learn how to talk to people, listen to people, you know what I'm saying? And just make things work when we come together with other individuals. So I definitely think that we're just lacking in a lot of education. And again, because there's so many voices on the internet now, there's just so much bad advice being given. And the individuals giving it, they may be giving like, let's say 80% of the advice is accurate, But it's that 20% that's completely off that can derail everything. And that's the stuff that people are gravitating to, and it's just causing a lot of problems.